Good afternoon, YouTube. Um, Today, I came across this article on Global News, um, and it's very important because they plan to have a climate rally, I believe, in Edmonton. And apparently, Greta Thunberg will be in attendance to speak her message of climate change and whatnot for climate justice and so on. So I thought I'd make a short video on this just because in Alberta there's a great deal of let's call it protest against um, Justin Trudeau for the actions that he's taken when it comes to Trans Mountain Pipeline, and they also um, the industry has lost a great deal um, because the life's blood of this country is oil. If we're telling the truth, it really is a very necessary industry for Canada, and it employs hundreds of thousands of people, and it creates a beautiful wealth for this country, and progression and prosperity for this country. So I'm looking here at Greta Thunberg, and she's a very controversial figure already, with quite a bit of influence and power, um, especially among our younger students, kids, and so on that admire her. Um, and that aside, there will be a counter rally organized here in Alberta, and there was a similar rally organized and taken to Parliament Hill, and many people drove across the country uh, in order to participate because their livelihood is very much dependent on getting pipelines built and letting the oil industry thrive. So I thought I would play this little clip here so you would have more information. So all credit to Global News for this video clip.
Counter-protest is also planned. A convoy of oil and gas supporters is rolling towards the city.
And Fletcher Kent joins us now live with Warren. Fletcher, you've been talking to some of these people.
Well, things are just starting to get going right now. I mean, you can see there's a few trucks in behind us right now. Most of those are probably the regulars down here at the truck stop. But we are expecting a lot more trucks to start rolling in the next little while. In in about an hour and a half, we might start seeing a number of the trucks that are coming in from Red Deer pouring in here for a short program before they head up towards the legislature to be a bit of a counter-protest to go alongside what we saw with Greta Thunberg. Joining me now to talk about that is Joel Mullen. He's one of the organizers here. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about what is going to be coming, but tell me a bit more. Do you have a bit more details about what we expect to see here today?
Well, as you said, we're going to have a bit of a rally here first, starting at 9:30 at Blackjack's Roadhouse, and from there, 10:30, we're going to head down towards the legislature, and make our presence and our support for the number one industry in Alberta felt.
I was going to ask you, why do this? Why is this important for you to do?
Well, 150,000 approximately Albertans make their livelihood in the oil and gas industry, plus all the economic activity that generates beyond the 150,000. The revenue from this industry is our schools, is our hospitals. This is a vital part of our economy. Because of that, we really feel we need to show our support for it. We have the oil and gas industry with the highest environmental standards in the world, high safety standards, labor code, all of that. We have an industry we can be immensely proud of. And that's what we're going to do here today, is show that pride and our support for it.
This has become a rather polarizing issue amongst people all over the country, all around the world. Has this become a bit of an us versus them? Is that the sort of message you're trying to, or maybe not trying to, but that will be shown here today, do you think?
It's not what we want. We understand that there are changes coming. However, it's perplexing to see the attacks on Alberta. Meanwhile, countries like Venezuela and Saudi Arabia and Iran seem to be given a pass by these environmental activists. I think because we are a democratic, pluralistic society, we're seen as low-hanging fruit, rather than having to confront a regime that would respond aggressively in return.
All right, thanks very much. That was Joel Mullen, one of the organizers here.
So, this gentleman here, Mr. Cullen, strikes me as a very intelligent man, somebody who is deeply grieved by the current situation that's happening, and it's very unfair. See, nobody really talks about these people that lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, their way of life, and they suffer terribly because there's no hope in sight under the current status that we have here in Canada. And even amongst the provinces, there seems to be a great amount of hatred, actually, directed toward Alberta for the oil sands. And I mean, as he put, this gentleman, it is the most responsible in the world, the safest, the cleanest, the most highly regulated, the most environmentally conscious. It is an industry that is absolutely 100% accountable, and then some. We have been sabotaged in this province by interests that seek to destroy that industry, and very, very dishonorable people that sold us out to special interests. And we won't get into that, but it is the truth. And this gentleman, you can see the humility coming from him. He is a genuine article. They are not trying to be confrontational. It's simply a defense of the truth and the hypocrisy that surrounded it. He talked about Iran and Saudi Arabia and so on. What about China? He leave China out of it, but China is really a massive source of pollution, of environmental irresponsibility. To keep the cost down, I hear factories actually dump cancer-causing chemicals into rivers, into the sea, and the result is that children are born with deformities and so from drinking the water. I mean, Alberta does none of that. I am deeply saddened because this gentleman and many, many thousands of others that will join this protest, they are simply trying to fight for the truth and for their livelihood, for their way of life. And as he very eloquently put, the industry is extremely, extremely responsible. So I support this path. I see people who are suffering, who are very, very well-meaning in their motivation, and who seek a peaceful protest. There is a definite need for this movement in Canada. It's really I feel great pity for them because they've been pushed into a corner and they didn't deserve it. It's the action of the federal government really forced their hand, because the way that Trudeau has handled the West is is absolutely in line with his ideology, which is he's hated Alberta for since his high school days, most likely. I saw a clip that he expresses deep hatred for Alberta, and a desire to tax us to death essentially and eliminate the oil sands. And he's had that desire since before becoming Prime Minister of Canada. And they can talk around all they want, but the results stand as it is, and Alberta is in deep trouble. And I really applaud the effort of this group, and this counter rally is very necessary, and I hope they're well received, and I hope the protest is very well received, and so on, and very peaceful. And I hope very much that if the federal government is to be re-elected, or if there's a new government elected, that they will help these people to find their jobs and put them back to work. Put the whole industry back in motion, because there is nothing wrong with trying to make one's way in this world. And the fact that it is oil and gas is just supposed to be a divisive subject, a polarizing subject, and it's completely untrue and not based in science, and not based in evidence neither. It is an ideological attack on innocent people. So I thank you for your time and attention, and goodbye.